Okay.
Yeah, that's the safe camera.
And that's like
this is the danger camera.
That's the Mr. Spielberg. I'm ready for my close-up.
No,
camera.
that's not what we're doing here.
No.
Wait, so what's the safe word?
Mr.
Watermelon.
Sunstone.
Hello and welcome back to NPR's Big Geeky Couch. I'm your host. No, I'm just kidding. We are still Big Geeky Couch. We are not sponsored by NPR. We are self-sponsored. We are that cool. I'm your host, Kit Jaspering. With me as always is David Lilly, Chad Perkins, and Keith. I don't know your last name actually.
That's secret.
We have Keith, that's secret. Today we're reviewing Shudder by, what are they again? Joe Keatinge and LEILA Del Duca. I forget names sometimes. Not Shutter Island, not the Martin Scorsese, Leonardo DiCaprio film. Very different thing. Same word in the title though.
Yes.
Alright, Shudder, Image Comics.
It's not about ghosts. Well, it kind of is about ghosts.
There's ghosts, there's a lot going on.
There's a lot of this. If you want to read, okay, my first thing I'm going to say about
Chad
Shudder.
goes first.
If you want to read every action movie ever, read Shudder.
Every fantasy and action. A lot happens. There's a lot going on. They establish a hell of a world.
They have lion mafia people. They have ghost ninjas. They have clock cat thing.
A villain is introduced who is, we can handycam
I
this.
just realized how...
Handycam.
Yeah, there's
Oh, hey.
fairies, there's anthros, there's dinosaurs. Basically, take
There's a villain
every
introduced
fantasy
who is a
concept that you
samurai
want,
vixen. Oh, sorry.
throw it all into a giant blender, and then don't worry about having anything make sense. And that's this world.
They treated it like the Pineapple Appleton dude did. You know, like, I have a ninja,
From what
I have a ghost, ninja
What I can
ghost.
tell is that in an alternate... Shudder fell through from an alternate reality where Venture Brothers doesn't exist, and instead we got this show called Existential Sisters, and that's Shudder, because it's very, very similar to that show. Although it's
Shudder itself is a lot to take in. And when I first started reading it, I will be honest with you, I did not like it.
Oh, I love Shudder.
I was really turned off. I had no idea what was going on because nothing is explained about their world.
But it doesn't
None
need
of
it.
it.
Like, we all know what these things are. Like, we know their characters.
But they treat everything as an everyday occurrence.
Because for them it is.
Like, it's just like, oh, by the way, there's gonna be a nuke launched into somebody's apartment complex.
But
went to the
visually,
movie.
you understood what was happening.
Right, well, after I started reading it, yes, I did. Like,
And that's the thing is, I like that there's not a lot of exposition. I like that... One thing I like is that for them, their world is normal, and there's not one character who's like, oh, can you explain that to me? I have amnesia. It's just kind of like, yeah, there's like crocodile people. We're just used to that at this point. Like, they're just around. Like, you'll even see it in the background. Like, little lion couples will be walking around holding hands.
weird
Like, people be
robot
going on dates with robots, and it's just like, this is how it
Honestly, I
goes.
feel like it could have honestly used a character like Fry from Futurama, where it's just like he's from the past, and it's like, what is going on here?
Yeah, that's weird, because when I read it, I was just like, cool, I'm on board. There's a lot going on here. I like it.
see,
I've read the whole series, too, so...
Oh, okay.
And, it goes places.
I like the fact that there's not a ton of exposition, but the thing is, when you have a fantasy world that's developed, it's great when there's not any exposition, except when you have a story and you, like, look at all the clues, you want it to cohere into something that makes sense, where it's like, oh, I can understand this even though they don't spoon feed it to me.
Because
But with this, it's like, I honestly feel like there's nothing to understand. I feel like it's
You
just
just
a
go
bunch
with
of... It's like, because everything is crazy and zany and anything can happen, nothing means anything.
see, oh, go on.
Let me start off by saying real quickly, I didn't hate this. I actually did kind of like it. But the thing is, though, I think I mentioned this to you, Chad. My biggest thing is I felt like those action cutscenes in the beginning of a video game where you're starting off. That's what I felt like I read that first,
Yeah.
that
This
first
is meant
chapter.
for a hell of a video game.
And then as soon as I made it to the end of volume 1, I was like, where's my controller?
I'd play that video game. We actually haven't explained any of the plot.
No.
Shudder is about
Oh,
the
yeah.
adventures of Kate Christopher, who is a former
Who's
child
not-
adventurer.
And she is not Shia LaBeouf.
No, what?
Indiana Jones, they did, never mind.
He's not named Kate Christopher. He's named Shia LaBeouf.
Never mind.
Goofball. No, but it's about Kate Christopher, part of the Christopher family of adventurers, and she is caught in a web of very strange conspiracies, and everybody seems to want her for some reason.
And she has siblings.
She has many siblings, yes, who get introduced in later volumes.
Yeah.
Well, we meet 2 of them in this first volume, so...
We meet one.
Wow.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Huh.
that's basically the entire plot.
Yeah, there's really nothing. The
more happens, I will say, because as I said, I've read the whole thing, and it does. I thought it unfurls very satisfactorily as it goes. So it's the comic is at a complete run at this point. There's 5 volumes. That's I think 5 trades. I think there'll be like 2 larger collections.
Yeah, there'll be probably 2 hardbacks of it. So volumes 1 through 3, and then 4 and 5.
Sure, something like that.
Into 1.
And then I really like LEILA Del Duca's artwork.
Absolutely.
The artwork is really good.
Her ink washes are awesome.
The artwork is very.
The artwork itself is enough to appeal to you.
Plus the amount of just things she draws. Just who the fuck is calling me?
Weird. That's weird. So.
Hannah, no, go away. I didn't feed the cats.
Professionalism, kid.
Sorry.
God,
professionalism.
Jesus. We're talking about Shudder.
There was a ringtone going off, and I had to turn the volume up.
Book.
We'll cut that out.
Aries.
We're not cutting anything out.
Please, Aries. Aries.
So, Shudder, I love the fact that the artwork changes with whatever is going on.
Yeah, there's like the Richard Scarry section. They'll change styles completely, and it's all drawn by the same person.
Hit cam.
Like let's go to the Richard. Like there's this part that just looks like Richard Scarry. What is it? Lazy Town he did.
It's Lazy Town's Richard Scarry's Lazy Town, and it's like this weird thing, and it's about a hitman.
With like a nuclear missile launcher, and then he kills himself.
Yes.
That's pretty funny.
Which, I mean, this entire comic book is a wonderful action movie. But
this is the scene where that character gets critically wounded, and then afterwards it never matters again.
Unhandy cam. So, but if I was to recommend, I'll say right now, if I was to recommend this to somebody, it would not be somebody who is just starting to get into comics. Because I really feel like they would be turned off by this.
Honestly, it depends on what they're into. If they're into stuff like freaking, for example, if you're into something like I hate that I'm bringing this up again, but like the Fast and Furious where things just don't really make sense or matter, you'll actually love this.
See, and I like this just because it's so weird.
Yeah.
And then eventually, the places that it ends up going, I think, also really help that. Like, what the ultimate threat ends up being is not something I've seen in a comic before. So
really?
Yeah, it's really strange how it ends, but it's really cool.
We're just reviewing the first installment.
Yeah, so it's weird for me because I've read the whole thing, and I'm just like, I know what happens. These guys are like, I've read 20% of it.
It also bothers me that the main character is kind of stupid. Like, she doesn't even seem to notice that it's like, she's like, I lost my dad because my dad died 10 years ago. And then she's like, my sibling I never knew about. How old are you? And he's like 8.5. And she's like, I see nothing wrong with this.
No.
No, she
has a huge meltdown.
Problem with it.
She just doesn't explain what her problem is.
Yeah, but she doesn't pick up on the fact that there's a 2.5-year age difference where it's like, oh, maybe my dad's not dead.
No, that's what she freaks out about. But it never goes back to it.
Yeah.
Like she does. Yeah, but she doesn't correlate anything. And I agree with you. She doesn't correlate to anything that is actually happening in the moment. She's always thinking about the past. But
she's very much a character that's stuck in the past.
Yeah.
That's a big thing with Kate.
And she reminds me of, you know what she reminds me of is that Netflix Jessica Jones series.
Okay, I didn't watch that.
Okay, well, nobody watched that. Is Jessica Jones very stuck? Yes, she's very stuck in the past.
Also, the name of the comic is Shudder. I don't think she snapped a single photo in this whole. Did she?
I don't know. Her entire point is she's supposed to be a journalist?
She is at this point, she's like, she's supposed to be writing her memoir, but she's not doing it because she's stuck in the past and doesn't want to. Yeah. She is like...
Also, her apartment did kind of blow up.
Her apartment does get blown up, so jobs start to not matter.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, after that, you're kind of like...
She has what I think is like a better Alexa in the form of Alarm Cat, everybody's favorite character. Is her. She has a little cat assistant who's adorable.
Oh my god, I love the cat assistant.
And he
doesn't make any sense.
He makes so much sense. He's perfect.
He's just adorable, and I don't care anything about him. Except the fact that he is adorable.
He has such a good arc overall. Yes. It once again, very unexpected what happens with Alarm Cat.
Does he get hurt?
What about Butler?
Sort of.
What about Butler?
Because the whole time I was kind of like, I wish I could just kick that fucking thing out of this book.
He reminded me of...
Oh, I loved Alarm Cat.
I loved Alarm Cat. I thought he was adorable.
Oh.
He's derpy and obnoxious.
He's got cookies inside of him.
Yeah. He's got candy and cookies.
Makes me just want to kick him in the face.
How could you not want to be with Alarm Cat?
Why do you think I have a good heart?
I wouldn't. I honestly cannot say. I can say that Shudder itself, I would not recommend it to somebody who's just getting into comic books, but definitely a book if you're like, oh, I want to branch off into something else that is entirely zany and weird.
I want to try something. If you want to try something new,
Yeah.
I would read Shudder.
place to go.
Yeah.
I'd say it throws a lot at you, so if you just want to look at a comic that's got some good art, this is a good comic for that. If you want a comic that has a lot of crazy stuff flying around in it, you're going to have fun with it. But if you want something beyond just interesting jangling keys, there's not that much.
It's smarter than that.
It doesn't show it in this book.
And I agree. I feel like you are kind of owed an explanation, but when the more I read, I was just like, you know what? I'm going to accept what's going on right now. Shia LaBeouf is not involved in this.
And he is not, sadly.
Yeah.
Nor Martin Scorsese, as we established.
Or Leonardo DiCaprio. Wearing a wig.
So ultimately, a contentious read for many.
Like I said,
It's a strange one.
it was
but
alright.
In my opinion, the strange things are the best things. Perfection is in the flaws.
What do you think, Keith?
So,
You're going to do the closing statement.
What do you got?
what? I get to do it?
Yeah.
my
This is the
goodness.
closing statement.
I like it.
I mean, yeah, I admit it. I would be one of those guys that will have my controller ready just in case a video game does break out. But at the same time, what I like is it has its own charm. To be honest,
There's nothing quite like it.
there's nothing like it. But at the same time, it kept me invested. Not at the level of like a Black Sad, but kept me.
It's not as
invested.
grounded as
Right, right.
So,
Right. I did have to take a couple double takes.
wait a minute.
Double takes.
Guys, if you want to read something that is weird, zany, and completely new,
Metal Gear Solid. Shit.
no wrong thing, I would take a look at Shudder, but I would not recommend it for somebody who is just now starting out with comics.
I'd recommend it only to cool people.
Oh.
And watch.
Dave obviously did not like this one.
Guys,
So.
what is art? And you didn't like it.
I like the art, but the whole time I kept on waiting for something in the story to get me invested, and it never happened.
Gotcha.
Just watch out for Triceratops housing lion samurais.
Yeah, they have cool pieces. There's cool jingling keys.
No, this is the
So
piece
condescending.
that-
Ghost Phantom Ninjas.
You guys
See, and
don't-
for me, like, I was invested just by this first page. Like, that just got me.
We're on the moon. All right,
That
then.
just got me. I was like, oh, she was a kid, she had a dad, didn't work out.
Y'all just
What's
messed
going
up
on?
my PSA announcement, though. Because
what's
this is
that?
a real problem that people really need to know about.
What?
Lion samurais on Triceratops.
She's a fox, actually. Eklund's a fox.
Actually, she's a jackal.
Vixens.
Whatever she is, she was on a Triceratops.
Animals on Triceratops are a problem.
With katanas.
All right, guys. What is our next book that we are reviewing?
Well, keeping with the theme of comics with
time.
lots of animal characters, we're reviewing Margaret Atwood's Not the Handmaid's Tale. Angel Catbird!
And by God,
There's nothing, you thought there was nothing quite like this.
wait until
Just
you
wait.
check out Angel Catbird.
Next time on Big Geeky Couch, Grandma Comics!
Bye.
More at 11.